I knew the sky would open before it even happened. The air had that heavy, metallic taste, the kind that sticks to the back of your teeth. My son, Caleb, 9 years old, small for his age, with eyes too gentle for the world he was born into, kept glancing up at the clouds like he was trying to bargain with them. "Mom, are we going home soon?" "It's getting dark," he whispered, tugging the sleeve of my jacket. "We will," I told him. Grandma said she had something important to tell us, and like a fool, I believed her. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. My parents always knew how to bait me. Promises of family discussion, reconciliation, a fresh start. But every time the hook snapped in my throat the moment I stepped inside their house. When they opened the door that afternoon, my mother didn't smile. She only looked me up and down like she was checking whether the trash truck missed a pickup. Dad stood behind her, arms crossed, expression stiff with the disgust he never tried to hide. "You're late," Mom snapped. "You told me 4 o'clock. It's barely—" "I said you're late," she repeated, voice sharp enough to cut skin. Caleb hid behind me. My mother rolled her eyes at the sight of him. "Still clinging to that child like he's worth something?" she muttered loud enough for him to hear. My stomach tightened, but I stayed quiet. I'd learned silence was safer. We stepped inside. I should have known something was off when I saw no coffee cups, no chairs pulled out, no sign of any important discussion. My sister's purse sat on the counter, soaked, not from rain, from some kind of spilled drink. Mom pointed at it, irritated. "Your son knocked it over earlier when he ran past. Clean it up." My eyes widened. "What? We just got here. We weren't—" Mom's voice exploded. "Are you calling me a liar?" Caleb jumped. Dad leaned casually against the fridge, smirking like he was watching free entertainment. "I didn't touch anything," Caleb whispered. He looked terrified, but steady, his voice soft but honest. My mother stepped forward, lowering herself until her face was inches from his. "You're just like her," she hissed, "blaming everyone but yourself." Caleb's lips trembled. He pressed into my hip. "Mom, leave him alone," I said quietly. "Oh, here we go," she laughed. "Mother of the Year, defending her little stray." Dad chuckled. "She's raising that kid as weak as she is." The thunder cracked outside as if the world itself tried to warn us. Mom shoved a wet towel into my hands. "Clean it. Now." I swallowed hard. "Mom, this isn't why we came here. You said—" Dad slammed his palm onto the counter, making the plates jump. "I said clean it," Mom barked. I froze. Caleb tugged my arm again, his voice barely a thread. "Mom, please, can we go home?" My mother turned to him sharply. "Oh, you want to go home?" she mocked. "Then walk. Service roads are open. If you hurry, maybe the wolves won't snack on you." Dad laughed at his own wife's cruelty like it was a comedy show. "We didn't drive," I reminded her softly. "You insisted we leave our car because you were making dinner." "Oh, right," she said, smirking. "Dinner that I forgot to cook. How clumsy of me." She walked to the door, unlocked it, held it open wide. "Get out." My breath caught in my throat. "Mom, out! Both of you! Walk home! 12 miles isn't that far. Builds character." She looked at Caleb. "Maybe it'll wash the uselessness off you." He flinched like she slapped him. "Mom," I said again, firmer this time. "It's storming. He's 9. Dad pushed past me, his shoulder hitting mine deliberately hard. "You're grown. He's old enough. We're done babysitting your failures." The rain outside picked that moment to unleash everything, drumming on the porch like fists. Mom shoved my arm. "Move! Or do you want me to drag you out?" I stepped back to shield Caleb. He reached for my hand, and I felt how cold his fingers already were. "Please," I whispered. "Just let us wait until the storm eases." Mom smiled, wide, wicked, delighted. "No." Then she slammed the door in our faces. The lock clicked, a familiar sound. Home had never been home to them. It was a throne they sat on while they made me kneel. Cold water hit us instantly. The rain felt like ice, slicing down my neck and soaking through my shoes. Caleb shivered violently. "Mom, I'm scared." "I know," I whispered. "I'm here. I'm not letting go." But as we stepped off the porch, lightning flashing across the sky, something shifted inside me. Not a crack, not a snap. A vow. A quiet, steady vow forming in the center of my chest. I will never let them do this again. Not to me. Not to my child. And I will make them regret every mile we walk tonight. Thunder rolled again. Caleb squeezed my hand tighter. Behind the door, we heard them laughing. Laughing as their daughter and grandson stepped into a storm they forced us into, and with every heavy soaked step forward, the rain washed the last pieces of fear out of me. All that remained was determination, and a revenge they would never see coming. I don't know how long we walked before the rain turned vicious. It wasn't just falling anymore. It was slashing sideways, cutting through our clothes, making every step heavier. My son squeezed my hand so tight his nails dug into my skin, but he didn't cry. He just kept shivering and whispering, "Mom, they didn't mean it, right?" I wanted to lie. I couldn't. A car drove past us, sending a tidal wave of gutter water over our legs. My son jumped back, startled. The driver didn't even slow down, my mother's voice echoing from earlier. "Maybe the storm will wash the uselessness off." "You!" Felt like someone twisting a knife between my ribs. I lifted my son into my arms when his little legs started buckling. He wrapped his arms around my neck and whispered, "Mom, I'm cold. It hurts." "I know, baby. I know. You're okay." "I've got you," I said, even though my arms were shaking so violently I could barely hold him. Every step felt like dragging a mountain tied to my ankles. My shoes squelched. Water collected inside them like little ponds. My hair stuck to my face, and the road ahead blurred, and in the middle of the storm, I heard it again, my parents' laughter, the car door slamming, the casual cruelty, the "you can walk." I stumbled once, falling to my knees. My son slid slightly in my arms and panicked. He pleaded, "Mom, don't fall. Please don't fall." I forced myself upright. "I won't," I said, even though my throat burned from exhaustion. "I promise." By the time we reached town, it was nearly pitch dark. The streetlights flickered like they were mocking us. My son's lips were blue around the edges, and his soaked clothes clung to him like ice. I rushed him into an all-night gas station, ignoring the startled looks from customers. The worker behind the counter, an older man with tired eyes, took one look at my son and said, "Ma'am, he can't stay like that. He needs warmth." He handed us a rough towel from the bathroom, 2 hot chocolates from the machine, and a quiet, sympathetic nod. My son curled in my lap near the heater by the back wall. I rubbed his arms, his back, trying to get life back into him. His eyes closed, but not in exhaustion, more like he was trying not to feel anything. When he finally whispered, "Why do they hate us, Mom?" My chest cracked open. Children shouldn't know hatred. Children shouldn't question their worth because of the people who are supposed to protect them. I kissed the top of his wet hair. "They don't hate you. They don't deserve you." He didn't respond. He just leaned into me, small and trembling. And in that moment, something inside me changed shape. Not just a breaking, something sharper. Something that pointed in a direction I had never dared to look before. When the rain slowed, I called a cab with the last few dollars I had and took my son home. Not their home. Never again. Back in our small apartment, I dried him off, wrapped him in blankets, made him warm soup from whatever we had left. He slowly relaxed, the color returning to his cheeks, but he stayed unusually quiet. When I tucked him into bed, he held my wrist and whispered, "Mom, please don't make me go back there. Ever." "You won't," I said, smoothing his hair. "I swear to you, never again." He fell asleep, clutching my sleeve like it was a lifeline. But as I stood there watching him, rage pressed against my ribs so hard I could barely breathe. Not hot rage, the cold, calculated kind. The kind that forms when you realize Someone has crossed the final line, the kind you don't scream or cry about, the kind you act on. The storm outside slowed to a drizzle, but inside me, a different kind of storm started, and this one wasn't going to end until my parents finally learned what it felt like to be powerless, scared, and exposed. Not metaphorically, not poetically, not silently. For once in my life, they were going to face consequences they couldn't laugh away, and I already knew exactly where to begin. When morning came, the rain had stopped, but something in me hadn't. Something had snapped open instead. Something cold. Something focused. Something nobody in that house ever expected from the quiet, obedient, pathetic daughter. My son, Evan, was curled against me on the couch of the motel we found after walking those 12 miles. His lips were cracked, his socks still wet. But he was safe. Safe because I had chosen to protect him, not because anyone else ever would. At 6 a.m., while he slept, I stepped outside and breathed in the wet morning air. Cars hissed on the road. Birds picked at puddles. My entire life felt like a puddle, stepped on, ignored, splashed through by people who were supposed to care. And then my phone buzzed. "Mom, where are you? Your father needs the lawn done. Also bring Evan for breakfast. He needs to apologize for crying yesterday." My hands shook, not from fear this time, but from clarity. They wanted me back for chores. They wanted my son back for humiliation. They wanted their punching bag. They wanted nothing else. And I finally understood something in a way I never had before. They weren't going to change. But I could. I quietly went back inside, kissed my son's forehead, and then opened my email on my phone. The revenge begins. I didn't plan fire. I didn't plan poison. I didn't plan poetic karma. I planned something they never expected from me. Exposure with consequences that hit them where it hurt. Control. I typed a long, detailed email to Child Protective Services. Not anonymously. No hiding. I wrote every incident, every slap, every threat, every moment they endangered my son. The night they threw us out in the storm, the bruises, the recordings I still had from their screaming, the video my sister accidentally sent once, laughing at my son while he cried. I attached it all. I pressed send. Then I called the police non-emergency line, my voice steady for the first time in years. "Hi. My parents left my 9-year-old and me stranded 12 miles from home in a storm. I'd like to file a formal report." The officer asked for details. I gave them everyone. No shaking, no apologizing, no guilt, because they had taken too much from me already. At the beginning of their end, 2 days later, while my son and I stayed in a temporary shelter arranged by a woman from a local church, the call came. A deep male voice. "Ma'am, this is Detective Harris. We attempted to visit your parents' residence for questioning. They refused to cooperate. We are filing a case for child endangerment and neglect. We will need your full testimony." My heart thudded. "They refused?" I asked. He sighed. "They told us, and I quote, 'She can't even keep a man. Why would she keep a kid properly?' Shadow filled my stomach and then burned out as something sharper took its place. "Detective," I said, "I'll testify, fully." And I meant it. The fall of their facade. The next week was a storm they couldn't walk away from. CPS showed up twice. My parents argued with them at the door so loudly neighbors filmed it. Their church kicked them off the volunteer board. My dad's job called him in after community concern complaints. Then the detective called, "They're being summoned." Summoned. My parents, who believed they ruled the world, now had to answer for something. I didn't go near their house, didn't call, didn't check their social media. I stayed away and focused on my son, his new sneakers we bought from donated funds, his first good meal in days, a warm bed, safety, everything he deserved that they denied him. Oh, the final break. But the moment everything truly shifted didn't happen in court, or through CPS, or through detectives. It happened the day they showed up at the shelter lobby uninvited. My mother walked in first, soaked from the drizzle outside, mascara streaked, hair frizzy. Dad followed her, his jaw clenched in anger more than fear. "Get your stuff," Mom hissed at me. "You made a circus out of nothing." Dad jabbed a finger at Evan. "He's making you weak. You used to know your place." People in the lobby glanced over. My son pressed against me, and for the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. I stood up. I stepped forward, keeping my son behind me. "You left us in a storm for 12 miles, I said. "That's not parenting, that's cruelty." Mom scoffed. "Oh, please, a little rain builds character." Dad leaned in close enough to smell his aftershave. "You think you can survive without us? You think this shelter is your future? You'll crawl back." A voice behind us cut through the tension. "Actually, she won't." Detective Harris. He stepped forward, badge visible. "Mr. and Mrs. Dawson, step aside. You are under active investigation, and you are not allowed to approach the complainant or the minor." My parents froze. Mom sputtered, "She's lying!" The detective raised a hand. "Ma'am, one more step and you will be detained." For the first time in my life, I watched my parents step back because someone told them to. They didn't look powerful. They looked small. Very small. The new life they can't touch. 3 months later, my son and I had a small apartment paid by a local assistance program. I had a stable job, and my son was in therapy and finally smiling without flinching. My parents' case was still ongoing. Their reputation? In ruins. Their control over me? Gone. They tried calling, begging, threatening, crying. We didn't answer. Not once. Because the girl they broke grew into a woman they couldn't touch. And the mother they mocked turned into the mother who finally chose to protect her child from them. The storm they left us in had washed something off after all, their power, and we never walked back again. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.